Hello there and welcome to your station of choice, Africa Independent Television, AIT. It's that time of the day for people, politics and power, a program that is structured to create a window for its citizens to emphasize Nigeria's oneness, its indivisibility and indissolubility. I am Imoni Amarere. Many Nigerians from all walks of life and backgrounds appear to believe that the current Nigerian federal structure needs to be tinkered with for a more effective governance and response to the aspirations and developmental needs of the people. It is not uncommon to hear that Nigeria will never move forward or develop if the restructuring of the federation does not take place, and from day to day, the call is getting louder and louder from almost every corner, with some even resorting to threats of secession and a possible disintegration of the republic. 5 years ago, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, at an event organized by the leadership newspapers, sounded off the idea of restructuring. At that time, the level of acceptability of this supposed all-time solution to what is being bandied as Nigeria's permanent problem was very low. But exactly 10 months ago, at the launch of a book titled "We Are All Biafrans," Atiku again said Nigeria risks being a failed state unless it embraces the notion of restructuring.
We now have the ridiculous situation where the federal government creates local governments, enshrines them in the constitution and allocates resources directly to them, with people even calling for more autonomy from state governments. Today, virtually every section of our country feels marginalized.
Before independence, we managed to coalesce unity in order to face the colonial masters. We got them out the door. As soon as they left, we should have had a conversation on what kind of a nation we would build.
If you consider what our parents went through in Biafra, what confronts us today is nothing but a cakewalk. It just requires courage. And that's why I did not shy away from touching on every subject that is important for our people. We have to be proud of who we are. No shying away from it. That's who we are. That's our history. But at the same time, we must move very surely, no timidity, to secure our rights in Nigeria.
Well, another prominent voice in the call for restructuring is former military President General Ibrahim Babangida, who said that although the country has survived a lot of challenges and crises in the past, restructuring could no longer be wished away. Week at a colloquium organized by the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, the Sultan of Sokoto, Saad Abubakar III, and the former governor of Edo State, Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, and other prominent Nigerians shared different opinions on the clamor for restructuring.
Although John Cardinal Onaiyekan was not present at the colloquium, he is co-chair in the Interfaith Forum of Nigeria, and the Sultan of Sokoto, Saad Abubakar III, gave a blunt presentation on the issue of restructuring.
Now, when people talk of restructuring, and I think if they mean that we dismember the country, I'm not for it. But if it's to make life much better, more conducive, much more convenient for all of us as a people, then let's sit down, discuss about it. And I know that during 2014 National Conference, so many things were discussed, even though people now said that conference was politically motivated and whatever. But whatever happened, Nigeria came together and discussed. Now, if you can take some of those issues, get a think tank, let the federal government get a think tank, or let people now come together and say, okay, we want a think tank. Bring all these position papers, because time has changed. This is 2017, we're talking of 2014. But current realities on the ground, with so many ultimatums given by so many groups that just, we have not heard their name before, they just come up and say, you must leave this by this.
Former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Alpha Belgore, NLC President Ayuba Waba, and the lead paper presenter, Professor Sam Egu, are among speakers who blamed the clamor for restructuring on bad governance.
Nigeria will develop. Give us 10 years at most. If there is peace and security in governance.
The large part of our problem as a nation has been caused by the very poor leadership that our political elites have provided in governance of our country. These are problems caused by the developmental model our ruling elites consciously chose.
How do you restructure governance? If you don't have governance, you don't have governance.
If you went back now, you might see that people that we attacked and vilified and abused 20, 50 years ago are now looking like saints in Nigeria.
And that ruling class of cis people will continue to be as poor as church rats.
As the question on who started the agitation for restructuring kept propping up, former Edo State Governor Adams Oshiomhole offered answers.
Just after 2015 general election, there was a power change which Nigerians voted for. And suddenly, people who have simply just lost out just find a new buzzword called restructuring. And many of these people have been All right, I think I get the signal.
The general consensus at this colloquium is that leadership is weak and in dire need of reawakening. The theme of the event is the labor movement and the future of a united Nigeria. What role for restructuring?
The Nigeria of our dream, the Nigeria we need, is the united, indissoluble, and cohesive Nigeria which guarantees equity, fairness, justice, and prosperity for its citizens. That is our focus on people, politics, and power. It is fresh, insightful, impactful. It's a must-watch. People, politics, and power on AIT. Join.
Well, governors of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, have also followed suit with their views. The Progressive Governors Forum contend that the recent agitations by some ethnic groups was a reflection of the prevalent weak governance structures, weak economy, and a weak law enforcement system that exists in the country. The governors said the demands for political restructuring and true federalism can be met by adjusting the federal system. Well, when President Muhammadu Buhari returned from his medical vacation in London about 10 days ago, he expressed strong faith in the nation's corporate existence and vowed zero tolerance for separate movements and inflammatory statements, as well as agitations that threaten Nigeria's unity. The president said comments that question Nigeria's existence as one nation were steps too far. The questions now are, is this the time to consider restructuring in Nigeria? What form and format should it take? will political restructuring translate to economic prosperity for the people of Nigeria? How can agitations from different quarters be resolved amicably and peacefully? What should be the role of the executive and the legislative arms of government in the process? These are some of the issues we shall be interrogating today on the program. And with me in the studio is a seasoned socio-economic analyst. And of course, he is also a property development consultant who is based here in Abuja, the Nigerian capital, and a very strong believer in the Nigerian project. He is Francis Onwuemele. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Simone.
Okay, no doubt the president's live broadcast on Monday, August 21st has been attracting reactions and comments. Some are of the opinion that President Buhari did not address the critical issues that require national discourse. Take a listen to some of the reactions so far.
I was distressed to notice that some of the comments, especially in the social media, have crossed our national red lines by daring to question our collective existence as a nation. This is a step too far. Nigerians' unity is settled and not negotiable. We shall not allow irresponsible elements to start trouble, and when things get bad, they run away and settle others with the responsibility of bringing back order, if necessary, with their blood. Every Nigerian has the right to live and pursue his business anywhere in Nigeria without let or hindrance.
What happened during the presidential broadcast was a rape on the intelligence of the Nigerian people. And as I speak to you, you will agree with me that the Nigerian spirit is bleeding seriously. This is because we have a president who is nonchalant about the feeling and about the thinking of the people. So ordinarily.
What is your quarrel with the president's speech?
Now,
he gave about 13 points in that speech.
Now, let me quickly take this. Mr. President declared publicly, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria declared publicly that only the National Assembly and the State Council have the legal responsibility to engage in national discourse. I beg to disagree, absolutely. And I want to say the writers of Mr. President's speech, and of course Mr. President also, are not conversant with the constitution of our land. This is a democratic society where every Nigerian have a right. Our constitution is very clear about that. Section 39 make expressly the right of every Nigerian to hear their opinion the way they feel. So every Nigerian in this country have a right to express his own opinion, his own view concerning any issue that affects the nation. So Mr. President can't come and tell the Nigerian people. And as a matter of fact, at the time when we are expecting the president to rob the ego of the people, to reach out and persuade the people, Mr. President spoke like an emperor. Mr. President spoke like someone who has just hijacked the instrumentality of power and needs to demonstrate the fact that he's in position of authority.
That broadcast was just one step of many steps that are going to be taken in the days and weeks and months ahead. So you can't expect that everything will be said in one day.
And for the southern leaders, the president's speech has generated so much mixed feelings. At a meeting in Lagos last week, the southern leaders bared their minds on the president's speech.
It is one speech that has generated so many reactions because of what many Nigerians consider its loaded contents. Here in Lagos, these Nigerians from the southern part are dissecting the president's address, beginning with his expression of dissatisfaction to comments which he considers threatening to Nigeria's unity.
We see a veiled threat to Biafrans and commence the criminalization of dissenting opinions in our national discourse.
In the same address, President Muhammadu Buhari also specifically touched on the hot topic of restructuring, where he stated that Nigeria's unity is settled and not negotiable. The Southern leaders would not have any of that, even though they are not preaching balkanization.
We, however, disagree with the president that Nigeria is a federation. Nigeria ceased to be a federation since the 1960s coup. The turning of Nigeria into a unitary constitution, which is not conducive for peace and development in a multi-ethnic country, is what the military-imposed 1999 constitution, which lied against itself by saying we the people, is all about.
Also not in agreement with the president's view that the National Assembly and the National Council of State are the appropriate bodies for national discourse to address the concerns of groups like theirs.
While the Corporation of National Assembly is clearly jigged and indeed one of the bodies to be restructured, the Council of State is not open to Nigerians for any discussion. If any discourse is to take place on constitutional changes within the democratic framework, Mr. President is the one who has the responsibility to initiate that process.
While the Southern leaders were talking to journalists in Lagos, another forum on the national question was taking place in Abuja, where this happened.
There was a power change which Nigeria voted for, and suddenly people who have simply just lost out just find a new buzzword called restructuring, and many of these people have been
Mr. Onwuemele's submission captures the general mood in the government of the All Progressives Congress over the issue of restructuring, but going by the views of the Southern leaders and the crowd at this gathering, there may just be the need for a meeting point on the way forward on this vexed issue of Nigeria's political structure.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. It's People, Politics and Power, and my guest is Francis Onwuemele. He is a social and economic analyst and one who believes in the Nigerian project. He's also a property development consultant here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Right, maybe we should start from this critical position of the continuous debate on the restructuring of Nigeria. The calls seem to be coming from different ends. Is it an idea whose time has come, or are we just playing politics here?
Well, thank you for having me around, and I want to clearly state that restructuring should be a concept as be part of every responsible government. It simply means change. It simply means at a time you look at your governance process and apparatus and ask yourself, if it is not delivering the purpose for which that is set up, you restructure. That's what it means. So it should be a case where even if you are delivering 80% of your performance, simple law of nature demands that once in a while you appraise your apparatus, and where you think you're not optimally performing, you restructure it. That's what it means.
Well, isn't that just, does it not seem too narrow a definition of the restructuring that many Nigerians are seeking?
No, you don't know at all.
Because here we're talking, I mean, Nigerians, those who are agitating for restructuring, are seeking political restructuring. They are seeking physical restructuring.
Sure.
They are seeking economic restructuring.
Sure.
They are seeking a restructuring of the territory called Nigeria, one way or the other.
Okay, now I gave you a broad definition of the word restructuring. You have a structure, and you find that a structure is not delivering, you simply tamper with that structure. That's called restructuring. Now, if you go a bit deeper, whether it's the political restructuring, economic restructuring, in whatever, now those things come up as a result of a measure of a governance, of performance of governance. Where the governance has failed and failed woefully, then the word restructuring becomes a bit louder and it becomes threatening. Now, even the best countries in the world still tamper with their structure to ensure that they deliver the dividend of democracy. So it's a normal thing to do. But what is going on in Nigeria today is this. People got the concept of restructuring completely wrong, either out of greed or selfishness. People got the concept of restructuring from a very awkward angle. Of course, naturally by human nature, if I benefit from an awkward system, that is feeding me, I don't want it restructured. But humanity demands that even if I'm benefiting, I should have that moral consciousness to say, well, I'm benefiting, but this is not fair. Because majority of Nigerians are out of schools, they don't have access to medical things. Many of Nigerians can't even feed 3 times a day. The level of joblessness is incredibly high. Look at the number of Nigerians living in this country through Cote d'Ivoire, Mali, Sudan, and even Libya. And thousands of them dying at the Mediterranean. Those are the symptoms of poor governance. And when people say restructuring, you are talking of how do we restructure a system in such a way that the average Nigerian should be proud being a Nigerian rather than going through those torturous suicidal journey just to leave the country. So it is more than enough time for us to say, look, restructuring is something that we should have in our mind at all times. So it is right.
The Nigeria of today has a constitution in place, a constitution that Nigerians were given as far back as 1999, and which we have reviewed once or twice since that time. Does that constitution, or is that constitution as it is today, does it allow for the kind of restructuring that those who are clamoring for restructuring are asking for?
Let me say it again. The laws are made for humans, not humans for the law. If your constitution is not delivering what you need to do, change it. It's as simple as that. Let's not make it look so difficult. The constitution was not written by an angel and delivered to us. Written by fellow Nigerians. If for any reason, to the best of their knowledge, that's what they could do. And today we realize that it's not working. Simple. Restructure it, tamper with it, make sure that the dividend of democracy is arrived. That's what I'm just saying.
In other words, we are saying that for the restructuring that is being clamored for now to happen, we must first and foremost restructure the Constitution, the 1999 Constitution as amended.
Yes, okay, fine, if that's what they need to do. But let me tell you this, the major problem. The major problem is we do not have responsible government. We don't have responsive government. You see, people are now questioning the Constitution. He said we are the people of Nigeria. We didn't say that. These are all symptoms of governance failure. If leadership was doing well, if the government was delivering it, even of the democracy, you will even change the constitution without people knowing the problems. The problem is that we have a colossal leadership failure. That's just it. So in attempt to express and explain that, people now come to Section 139, this is not working well, this is not working well. But the truth is this. If government in power realize that we need to, you don't need the constitution to tell you to provide decent hospitals in every part of the country. You don't need the constitution to tell you that you need to get the roads properly tarred. You don't need the constitution to tell you that Abuja, Kaduna Road is a death trap. You don't need the constitution to tell you that Benin, Asaba to Abuja is a death trap. You don't need all those things. It's failure of governance, period. Every other thing are just semantics and symptoms of the problem. So the problem is that the day we begin to get governance that understand that when I'm in power, it's not for myself. When I'm in power is to provide, using the resources of the country, to provide for the comfort of the people. All this argument of restructuring, agitation, this and that will die in natural death.
Now, some of those who are arguing or who are agitating for restructuring of Nigeria today seem to suggest that, look, let us renegotiate Nigeria's unity.
Yes.
The president has said Nigeria's unity is non-negotiable. The same position that was held in 2014 by former President Goodluck Jonathan when he convoked the national conference at that time. And I recall that when he addressed the opening ceremony of that conference, he clearly stated that Nigeria's unity was non-negotiable, yep. and that it was a no-go area for the conferees at that time. So, are they right, those who are agitating now, are they right to say we should renegotiate the Nigeria of today? Is Nigeria negotiable?
So let me be very clear about it all. The truth is this. Every situation in human life is negotiable. Even God Almighty, who made the heaven and earth and created you and I, look at the story in the Bible and the Quran, he negotiated with his creation. Every situation human beings are, as long as your desire is to get things better, things should be negotiated. So, and I sympathize with the government. Let me tell you what is in their mind. When they said Nigeria is not negotiable, what they probably meant was that, oh, well, we don't want this country destroyed. We don't want this country balkanized. We don't want agitation. That's what they mean. But that's why the word negotiation is a different ballgame. Negotiation simply means, gentlemen, we are in on this boat together. This is the target we want to achieve. Somehow, we're not achieving it. Can we look at it? Can we discuss it? If I have the same ambition with you, we have the same vision, the same goal, we will not be scared of negotiating. So what you are saying are people who are giving a wrong body language, thinking negotiation means deprive my brother or my sister of their daily bread. No. Negotiation simply means let's find out why are we not making progress. 1960, 61, 62, we are at the same level with Singapore. Today, Singapore is a first world. We are not even third world. We are retarding. So, and people are saying that let's tinker with this social engineering process. Something is wrong somewhere. And this part of what is wrong is for us to sit down and discuss. That is negotiation.
Is there a difference between negotiating Nigeria and negotiating Nigeria's unity?
Negotiation, the truth is this, negotiation is negotiation. Now, whether you are thinking of Nigerian unity or negotiating Nigeria, they are basically interwoven. I'll tell you why. Now, the people who are saying Nigerian unity is not negotiable are also making a wrong submission. What they should be saying is this. You see, if you have a country that people are united, find out what happened. They have very decent and very responsive leadership. You hear of the American dream today. It wasn't designed by Abraham Lincoln. It was designed by government projects that were delivering dividend to the people, men and women in the US. And they say, wow, American dream. Now, for you to say Nigeria is not negotiable, this is what the government should have done. If I was President Buhari, having spent 100 days or so in London, I would have come and said, gentlemen, I was there. I looked at the hospital where I was treated. I looked at the guys treating me. I looked at the nurses, the pharmacists, the midwives, the medical experts. I didn't see them better than my fellow Nigerians. I even look at the infrastructure on ground. I didn't think this special. Now, I'm drawing an inspiration from that. And I'm saying, before I leave this government as a president, I am going to put a world-class hospital in each of the geopolitical zone. And that desire to put those things is not negotiable. That is what you be saying.
Now, President Buhari is not the first Nigerian leader
yes.
to go outside of this country. Our governors, our ministers, our legislators, every now and then go out of this country, spend holidays, whether it's medical vacation or annual vacation, they spend, or just jamboree, they are out there. They see the kind of facilities and structures and systems that run in other countries. But they are unable to replicate any, even in their local governments or in their states.
Again, that's the failure of leadership. See, the Nigerian leadership question, I've not been able to relate leadership position and developing the mind of the citizenry. It's unfortunate. Our leaders today get to power because of his selfish interests, not because I want to give service to humanity. What has happened is that we go over there, we see what is done, we don't even ask the question. Is this thing done by angels? No. Well, the guy who is doing this is better, more brilliant than the average Nigerian? No. So that means I could do it. But the level of our leadership, where our leadership is now, is, I'm sorry to say, is so primitive, so awkward, and so retarding. So we need to have a complete change to realize that if I am today made the president of this country, the entire spectrum of Nigeria is my constituency. The average Nigerian citizen is my child, my baby. So what I should be doing every day and night is not how to amass wealth and hide it in Toronto or hide it in West Indies. It's how to use Nigerian wealth to develop the Nigerian society, because I know that beyond my generation, that guy I am starving from not going to school could be the savior of a disease that would have killed my child in 2 years' time. It is possible. If you get that connection that I'm government, let me use the societal's wealth to develop the society completely. Because when we are all developed, we all benefit collectively. But as long as we are in that primitive stage where it's about, I have more cars than the money. I have 2 houses in Canada, 4 in US, 5 in Seychelles, another 4 in London. It doesn't have. As long as we think in that primitive stage, once you get to power, what you do is that, why? Thank God. I ask the question again. Why will an average Nigerian see you become a governor today and they say, oh boy, well done, congratulations? What's he congratulating for? He's not congratulating you because he knows you want to solve social problem. He congratulates you that now he can come to you, get the benefit of that reckless governance, take a contract, don't deliver it, and nothing will happen. It can become very rich overnight. That's why it's telling congratulations.
That, of course, takes us to the issue of our social values as a society. Do you agree that we need a reorientation?
We need, you see, our problem has become so much that it's becoming complex day in, day out. But I still believe in leadership. We need a complete orientation of our mind, but starting from your leaders. That for God's sake, come to think about it. Look at Rwanda today. You know what's going on? People are pulling their children away from private schools to public school. What does that tell you? And one of the indices of a developed society is the public schools are better than the private schools. That's one of the indices. If you do development economics, when you get to a level where every child of a society could attend the nearest public school and have a first-class education, then you know you are developing. 60s, 70s, up to 80s there. Baptist Academy, Queen's College Lagos, CMS Grammar School, we have first-class schools. Where are they today? They're gone. That is a symptom of a society that's retarding. So there's need for us to have our leaders to rethink. I have a feeling, if I have my way, I have a feeling of packing the old governors, the president, local government chairman, and lock them up and begin to because they are the ones that need to change. They have a complete erroneous notion about the meaning of development. Completely wrong. They thought development is about amassing wealth for yourself and your family. That's a primitive way of reasoning. And that is where I cry for this country. So where can our leaders just rise to a level and realize that, wow, this is wrong? Like I tell you, the word Nigerian unity is not negotiable. That's not the issue. That is completely wrong. In that case, you are begging the question. What should we be talking about is that I've lost so many brilliant Nigerians on the highway because of a decayed infrastructure. I am going to fix it, and that is not negotiable. That is what you should be talking. Not Nigerian unity. You can't force, no matter how beautiful or loyal your wife is, you can't force her to remain your wife. But your performance can make her say, I will never leave this man. Your care. So the same thing, if you have a governance that makes sure that every Nigerian child can go to university or can have a good functional education, every Nigerian child can have good medical treatment, every Nigerian child sees himself as his brothers and his sisters, every Nigerian child can have 3 decent square meals, a graduate from university can pick up a job. Nigerians themselves will tell you that we want to live together. They will tell you our unity is not negotiable, not the leadership. So, but when you have failed, then they start protesting. And in an attempt to coerce them, Nigerian unity is not negotiable. That is a wrong balance. It's a wrong balance. I pray the government should shift from that thought process. You want to get Nigeria to remain united together, and you are in government, do what you need to do. Simple as ABC. Provide infrastructure on the ground. Ensure your children are able to go to school. Whatever system that is stopping that child from going to school, attack that system. I give you a good example. And I cry each time I see my brothers and sisters from Kebbi, Sokoto, Katsina, a man, a wife, and 5 children, escorting cows. You know what you have done to those children? You have basically made sure that they never, ever go to school. They never, ever go to school. And you are wondering, why is the educational gap not being closed down? Now, if government steps in and says, gentlemen, you can't do that. Because you, the owner of the cow, your 12 children, 4 of them are in Australia, 3 of them are in UK, the other 5 are in US and Canada schooling. Why are they not escorting cows? Only government can do that. Because you know why? Those who own those cows are very wealthy, rich Nigerians. They know. But when the government gives a directive, they will obey. You deal with that. Then you come in. How dare you see a Nigerian of 10 years old, 15 years old, hawking on the street? It is a lot of poverty at home. When you address that, that guy goes to school. We no longer have cause to hawk. A man is sick. You go to the general hospital today, you see, you can't deposit 150,000 naira, and the woman is in labor. Oga, want to do operation on your wife, bring 300,000 naira. You have those 300,000, you know what happens? The doctors will so turn a blind eye, and that woman will die in labor. Now, such a thing can be addressed. And I'm expecting my dear president to draw inspiration from his trip to UK and say, gentlemen, there's no big deal in having a first-class hospital. There's no big deal in it. In UK, we have no less than 6,000 Nigerians there, as not pharmacists, not nurses, medical doctors. In US, there are over 20,000. If you say to keep Nigerian one is a tax that must be done by providing infrastructure for Nigerians, they will start coming back home. Then they will speak on your behalf, not you saying Nigeria must remain one. Why? Now, because it's so beautiful, so awesome.
You seem to have outlined very clearly what the responsibility of the leadership should be and ought to be. What is the responsibility of the followers?
Now, let me I don't want to put so much weight on the followers. If I do that, I'll be very much unfair. I know the power of money. I know the power of money, and I know that when the stomach is empty, money, even when your stomach is empty, the vein that links your stomach with your brain, it will be disconnected. And the rich men, the wealthy men know this. They know this. They know that if society is poor and wretched, and I come in with money to bamboozle you, you'll be intimidated to vote for me. And I go, and I repeat the same stealing. I come the next day, you will vote for me again. But just to solve that problem, if you ask the average Nigerian, no, rise above that. It can't, because it's in poverty, it's in hunger. It can't link that to his brain. All he wants is that, I want to survive. Let me survive. People who are going to Europe through Mediterranean, they know it's a death trap, but they want to do what? They want to survive. So I'm not going to hold the followers too much. I'm holding leaders responsible, because it's not fair. They don't take their annual budget. They don't drill your oil. They don't export it. They don't end the tax. Why would I tax them? And they are fantastic followers. If you become a responsible leader, there will be responsible followers. I still hold the leaders responsible. Nigerian problem today is a colossal failure of our leadership, not just for the president, from beginning up to now.
In 2014, former President Goodluck Jonathan convoked the National Conference.
Sure.
And those delegates worked very hard to put a document together. Now today, some of those who attended that conference, who took part in the decision-making of that conference, in all the negotiations that went down at that conference, seem to have jettisoned that document. Some others are insisting, let us return to that document. Let's take a second look at that document, and it could solve these challenges of agitation and threats of secession that we have today. Should we go back to the 2014 document, or should we, or should government convoke another conference?
Okay, let me tell you, that's why the power of leadership is important. You mentioned that some of those who participated in the conference earned the money, spent 3 or 4 months or so, now are saying no. You know why they're saying no? They are responding to the body language of the current leader. The current leader came in and said, I don't care about the 2014 document. That is human beings for you. Those who debated well, the body language was very clear. I'm not interested. So they say, yes, we join you. We are not interested. It's not because they're not interested. They're responding to the body language of the president. That tells you how powerful leadership is. That is why in a society where you have a structure that ensures that people of decent mind, people of selfless attitude get to that level, you can't make that mistake. As for now, as long as we produce leaders that do not really care, you keep producing men who will just look at the government body language, and then they play that way too. Now for that document, I've not read it, but I know I followed them during the process. They tried, they did a good job. What I would have thought as fellow Nigerians, those guys who discuss are not Ghanaians. They're not Americans. They are Nigerians. So therefore, they must have talked something about Nigeria. I will take it up and study it. Areas where I agree with them, I implement it. Areas where I disagree, I won't throw it off. I will call them for further discussion. That is the spirit of one Nigeria. That's how it should be. See, what you've seen as political pride, political arrogance, is PDP. Therefore, I'm APC. I have no business doing that. By 2019, another government comes to power. Maybe not PDP, not APC. Oh, PDP, nonsense. APC, nonsense. All what Buhari has done, including the excellent job in anti-corruption, I throw it away. We can't move forward. The name of the game should be, the moment you come to power, for God's sake, and I speak to politicians, just see your partisan politics, put Nigeria and Nigerian interests in your heart. Then you see the light of what to do.
Now, there is a constitutional amendment process ongoing. It just came through the National Assembly, and it's gone to the state houses of assemblies now. Now, one key issue there that seemed to have generated a lot of tension during the debate in National Assembly is that of the devolution of powers. Some Nigerians have advocated that perhaps we could address these agitations and these cries of marginalization and all of that by looking closely at these duties and responsibilities of government that are addressed by the concept of devolution of power. That perhaps if we devolve more powers to the states and to the local government, to the federative units as they are, maybe we will address some of these issues fundamentally. And this whole cry about restructuring might just be watered down.
But let me shock you. Devolution of power is important, right? Because you can't be in Abuja and know how to address something that is disturbing somebody in Bama, in Sokoto, in Maiduguri. You can't be in Abuja and be able to make a responsive social infrastructure to somebody in Bayelsa. You are not a magician. But if you watch, many people have talked about, let's go back to 1966 structure. Some say give the states more power. No problem. There's still an error somewhere. If the Nigerian leaders still have this primitive recklessness in governance, if they still have this primitive recklessness of governance, if they still have not been able to realize that when I'm a governor, my job is to ensure that I improve the life of the average Nigerian, give them all the power in the state, they will repeat the same error the federal government is doing. So I agree they should devote power for the simple logic that when you are in a particular local government, you are able to feel the average human being and what they need and develop what they need good. But that leader, without stopping from stealing the money, without stopping from embezzling the money. And you also say, why would he do that? So we will do that, but in the first, our leadership structure, where we put our leaders have to be tampered with so that even if I said, okay, you'll be amazed. I was sharing with some friends, I said, listen, if we create Arewa Republic today, we create Biafran Republic today, we create Middle Belt Republic, we create Oduduwa Republic, and South Republic, and we do not address the concept of our attitude, this same problem you have in Nigeria would replicate itself in those 5 republics.
All right.
The same corruption will come up, the same settlement will come up, the same irresponsible leadership will come up. So the first thing first is this one. Can we let our people realize that it doesn't make sense to embezzle public funds for your selfish reason? Then show them the beauty of giving Nigerians tomorrow hope. The reason you have so much corruption today in Nigeria is not that Nigerians are created as assistant devil who are by nature very corrupt. No. Our guys are looking corrupt, are behaving corrupt because tomorrow is hopeless. Once tomorrow is hopeful, the Nigerian will be so productive and corruption will die in natural death. Give Nigerian the hope for tomorrow. I've worked all over the world and asked myself a question. It's not as if the average American or the average Singaporean or the average Canadian is more God-fearing. No, it's not. But it will never think of stealing public funds because the system has assured him, my son, my daughter, whatever you are doing, whether you're a plumber, a bricklayer, or an academician, or a vulcanizer, right? Whatever you are doing, the system takes care of you. The system recognizes you very well. Whatever you are doing, health is there, medical is there, education is given. If your problem is having a decent accommodation, the system is so structured that at an early age, you can have your own house. That's all. People become hopeful. It is tomorrow's hopelessness that's making Nigerians to look so desperate.
Does that position not seem to validate those who argue that Nigeria's major challenge is not the crisis of leadership per se, but the crisis of civilization and values?
No. I don't want to be too academic about it. It's not. You see, if I tell you it's civilization and value, you know what I've done? I would have carefully put a rubber stamp on irresponsible leadership. See, it's not their fault. It's because we are not civilized. It's a lie. We are one of the most, whatever you mean by civilization, those who came on earth first, if you look at the history of man, Africans came on this earth for the white men. Before America was founded, the Benin Kingdom existed, with the Ogiso as the Oba operating. The Oyo Empire existed. Before America was founded. So you know the case of civilization. No culture was in today Mina, where they were casting bronze. And the same thing in Edo. So it's not a case of civilization. It's a case of irresponsible leadership. Not civilization. Let's take our failure and take responsibility of this failure. The problem is we. And I'm saying that if you go deeper, let's not, all those corruption, stealing, maladministration are symptoms of a problem. The problem is leadership failure.
Can our democratic institutions and structures, as they are today, address these issues?
Unfortunately, it cannot. But it could if the leader stands up and say, gentlemen, let's address this issue. Why are we thinking this way? Let's change our attitude. Just the president alone, if he makes a speech once in a month addressing Nigerian value system, you'll be amazed how things will change.
All right. The president says that the presidency cannot restructure Nigeria alone, and that restructuring Nigeria, as is being advocated or demanded by those who are crying for it now, is the responsibility of the legislative arm, the executive arm,
yes,
and even the National Council of State.
Yes. But let me be graphic about it. If I'm the president today and I want to restructure, and I make an address to the country, addressing our shortcomings, and I address the National Assembly, the president has to jumpstart the process. He has to, he's the driver on the seat. He has to jumpstart the process. And that's the way out. He has to jumpstart the process. See, like I tell you, leadership is so powerful and so influential. The moment you give a body language that is not interested, very many guys will say, we are not interested. But if it shows that interest is interested, right, and then people will follow up. That's the truth. He has to jumpstart the process. Let somebody take responsibility and start the process. The ball is in his court to jumpstart the process. Tell the Nigerians, hey, we've made a lot of mistakes. That is why his so-called his anti-corruption war is working so well, because he decided to do that himself. If he didn't do that, nothing will happen. So it's very key. That is why leadership is so important, so influential. Anti-corruption war is working today. Everybody is singing anti-corruption war because the president has shown so much commitment to it. So if you do the same thing to the devolution of power and restructuring, exactly the same result you will get.
That of the devolution of powers through the constitutional
means, yes.
Review process was thrown to the representatives of the people. I mean, every part of Nigeria is represented in the National Assembly today, but
I will tell you why. Yes, you know why? Because they were told it's a political game. If they do that, the money you get from Abuja will drop. If they do that, you will not be able to get the amount of money. That's what happened. And they threw it away. So you can imagine if the president said, no, gentlemen, listen, that's not what I mean. What I mean is this. If we restructure, Jigawa State has so much 28 minerals. Today, your IGRO is 1.5 billion, and you are collecting 98 billion from federal government. If we restructure, you can explore your mineral and make 500 billion and provide school for the children in Jigawa State and provide good hospital for the children in Jigawa State. Then they'll say, okay, I see. Show them the facts and figure and come back there. They will vote for it.
Are you sure that these people do not know these facts?
They know, but their politics is plain more important. It's like I said, Nigeria is an event. They know that we know we have the resources. Just keep it there. For now, let's keep eating what is coming. It's easier to go and be collecting.
What would they be keeping that for?
Oh, no, not okay. Let me not use the word keeping. They, to explore your own mineral in your country costs for a lot of brain work, thinking, and getting people. Why would I be doing that when I can just go to Abuja every month
and collect money?
That is it. Even you too, my brother. I want to assure you, if today I give you twice what you were earning in AIT every month end, I come to your house and I deliver to your desk, the motivation to come to work will die down. It's a normal human process. Every month, somebody comes to your house and delivers to a money stable. You're twice your salary every month. They say, don't worry. We love you so much. Sit at home, take care of your wife and children. Don't strain yourself. Every month, the salary comes. And then when they come out and say, please, I'm not very keen.
So, but that orientation must change.
It must change. But it has to be changed from the leader. See, the position of a president, of a leader, is so key. It's so key. He has to let and pour himself out for people to understand. It's so key.
All right, I guess we have to leave it at that. Francis Onwuemele is a socio-economic analyst, one who believes in the Nigerian project. He's been my guest on this edition of People, Politics, and Power. Well, we'll see you again, same time on Wednesday, We'll bring you a fresh edition of the program. My name is Imoni Amarere. Do have yourself a wonderful day for the rest of the day. Bye for now.